the Karma. That's not locked in though, so I'm still expecting it to be an engaged support to kind of set up, but some of the LPL teams do really seem to like to use Galio even as the kind of primary engage, even though I generally prefer more as
Oh my God, Azale, I was so angry in playoffs. It felt like every team we had would just pick Galio as the primary engage. They're going to do it once again, and I will say for Ming, because I hate when LPL supports pick enchanters, we do not know how to use them. Ming is one of the exceptions. Ming is famously known for things like his Karma, his Morgana back in the day as well. But yeah, the way both drafts kind of work into each other, I think is quite strange. I like PSG's a bit more because it's like, okay, you have like range, you can kite back with things like they're not a Felios, and then wait out and set up for the resets coming out from the Vex and the Viego. So I'm actually a lot more curious to see how RNG operates their comp.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's going to be tough for PSG in the 2v2 early. I do think, Felios has obviously taken some nerfs. Karma's a really, really strong laner, and Gala and Ming are just an incredible duo as well. So, that is a bit of a concern. I think a lot of focus as well on top lane. Whoever gets the advantage between the GP and that Gwen is going to have, the edge in the side lane. So, should be a really interesting one. Just really unsure how the Vex is going to be able to fit in, how he's going to try to play out these fights. Tough to dive in onto the Xayah. Tough to actually try to play peeling back, which is kind of what it feels like the rest of your team wants to do. So,
and even RNG now have kind of pivoted where they don't need to run into you, right? Having the Xayah and the Karma as well, they can, just throw on the Mantra E, be able to kite out the Vex quite easily. And yeah, I mean, I feel like both teams having a bit harder to execute comps that have more questions than answers.
See who is able to execute it better in this game. Last game of the tournament, perhaps, for PSG. It is do or die for them. They must win this and then hope results go their way to get themselves into the knockout stage. RNG looking for first spot, looking for their pick of the litter of the remaining teams when it comes to semi-finals. So far, 7-1. RNG have been a cut above everyone else. Let's see if they continue that form today.
When I look at both teams this game, I feel like not only thinking about bot lane and how rough that could be for the side of PSG, but mid jungle definitely gonna have a huge impact, right? RNG having the setup there, taunt into a Q coming out from Wei, setting up for that easy kill. Vex, very rough champion to play. You have no easy escapes or even movement speed steroids like Ari with her W in the MS. So if you're pushing that wave, it's just very easy to take down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you're pushing, if you can't have your passive proc, if you do have your passive prepped, you can use the W kind of as that disengage. As Galio is coming towards you with the E, you try to pop the W, veer him back the other direction. But definitely going to be difficult to get away if he does get in on top of you. And I agree, the 2v2 feels like it's pretty heavily favored towards RNG. So it's going to be an interesting one. You can see Unified is going to be playing Fleet, trying to go a little bit more heavy on the sustain, knowing they're up against the Karma. It is Comet, it is Ignite, so RNG definitely looking to bully in this 2v2.
That's the fun thing as well, I think, for the side of RNG's comp is the fact that it feels like both sides can be played around. You hit the level 6 Xiao, who can make your way up towards top or bot, but like you're saying that at level
really
1.
Bad for Juhan. I think he's at the very least he has to flash, feels like.
Xiao in the right position, way there as well. Juhan flashes, but Xiao who just got the taunt. Juhan not over the wall. No escape, and RNG strike first. A minute 40 seconds in.
It's an absolute tragedy, Azale. Failed flash coming out from Juhan. RNG already setting themselves up to a nice lead. And now even the map being split a little bit, going to be much harder for PSG's bot lane to play, but already getting the wave pushed in.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't really have any defensive wards. Like, you're looking at the mini-map here, there's really nothing across this kind of line of scrimmage, right? There's nothing. They had one lane ward down on the bottom side, but they had no vision. They weren't playing line of scrimmage, so they weren't playing it very defensively. RNG looked for this, and now level 2 potentially towards bot lane. PSG will give respect to that, though. Checking the Krugs, making sure that he's not full clearing on that side. But this is just a devastating start already. Losing your flash, giving first blood over to the enemy jungle, who's already more of a powerful early game champion. You have to even wonder how the morale is after that. Like, this is a must-win game. This is your tournament life on the line, and you have to feel like you get that sick feeling in your stomach as soon as you go down.
One of those moments you just have to immediately reset from, right? You say, okay, that happened.
Yeah.
We can reset. We can look to try and do things on the rest of the map. You saw Bay walking in, getting a ward up towards the Razorbeaks, trying to keep track of Wei. And the respect given by Unified and Kaiwing in the bottom lane. We'll give them credit for that. Often it's easy when you see your lane opponents walking to lane with no minion wave to just continually try and harass them. But they understood that Wei was probably still in the area, and so they backed away at that level 1.
We are going to look to see PSG look for a bit of an evade on the top side, though. Did get some vision down. Bay having pushed in mid early. Let's see if they can find something, because you have Hanabi pushing up the top side as well. It would be very easy for PSG to have both side lanes roam over.
Juhan might just look to... Oh, great ward by Wei. The awareness to think he might be on my red. They got vision in here. Let's just put the ward over the wall.
Still, I like this. You know, he's going to be able to actually take this away. So Wei is going to cross map and take away the Raptors potentially here because Bay had the push, as you said, Lyric. You know, he was cheating up. GP had the push on top side. So a nice little bit of counterplay, trying to get that red buff, trying to get him back into it. But Wei with a good response. I don't think there was any point in trying to fight for it. So we'll be able to take another camp from Juhan.
I think overall, just really nice pivot from PSG with the earlier misplay to realize, hey, we just have to index really strong around top side. And like you hit on a draft, if the GP can get ahead, at least you're going to have a strong side lane to play out through the whole time.
Yep.
Once he hits level 6 as well, it'll give some relief to your bottom half of the map, who are already starting to lose some plates.
It's also worth noting, Bin is not actually going Ignite, so he's going a little bit more of kind of the team fighty style option. You know, your early all-ins are going to be less effective without the Ignite, but in a team fight and in a long side lane later on, Ghost is incredibly powerful, especially as you're getting those resets. It just keeps going, keeps going. And Bin has kind of changed his approach a little bit. He even talked about in the interview playing a little bit more defensive. His Wei is going to be down the bottom side.
Unified has to burn the flash to get away from Wei. They did spot him on that ward in the Tribush, but no real escape opportunity for Unified without burning that summoner.
We're going to be looking at if RNG can recapitalize, bring Wei back down. We're getting pretty close to level 6 for both mid laners. Xiaohu, of course, just got bullied out of lane, but coming back first will give him a window once he pushes out next wave if RNG would want to hover back down towards that bottom side. But Juhan, you know, on his reset is now going to be hovering around, making sure Unified and Kaiwing have a bit of safety.
Yeah, and I actually like Bay matching TPs here in this case. You know, I generally think that the best way to answer these global mid laners is not try to match the roams, it's try to keep them locked in lane, right? Just constantly push in the wave, keep them locked in under tower, then you have eyes on Xiao, who you know where they're going to be coming from. And as long as they can keep defensive vision around mid lane, keep eyes on Wei, then Bay should be fine to do that.
Ming's going to get rooted up here. Handshake coming in, and look at where Juhan is in the right position to look for this gank. Ming still has the flash. Gala has the heal. Unified tanking up the minions here. Spectral more, go for Gala. Heal used early on. Xiaohu trying to answer as he comes down from the mid lane. Bait here as well. Juhan rooted up. Flash forward, wins a war into the taunt. Xiaohu not quite able to get the taunt, but the flash away from Gala is enough. Xiaohu re-engages, and Bay and Kaiwing are forced to run for the safety of their tower, but it might not be safe for much longer. Wei and Xiaohu could look for a repeat dive.
And now they're going to have to back off. They're very low on health here. RNG could just go for the dragon as well. Going to be able to get the push in. Really well played from RNG. Gala so patient with the flash. He knew that Kaiwing, you know, they're not actually able to follow up. You know, him and Unified was so low on health and didn't have sums, so he can't actually really follow up on the play. So even though the Viego gets in, lands the stun on the marksman, Gala doesn't have to flash because there's that separation. And because Xiaohu is coming down, just going for a very aggressive play and kind of overestimating, I think, their position in lane.
Yeah, I think had Bay already been 6, it could have been a lot different, right?
Yeah.
Throw out that ultimate, maybe you can just burst him out, one-shot him yourself, but he didn't have it at that time. They thought that was the only window available. I like the map movement by PSG here, though. Unified might be punished.
Wei's only level 5, but the hero's entrance. Oh, what happens? You walk into a bush and immediately you're slammed under the ground.
Beautiful preemptive ulti coming out from Xiao. Unified didn't even know it was coming.
That's one of those spells that you feel like it shouldn't be invisible, you know? It's like, yeah, he's in a brush, but can't your character look up and see the giant chicken falling from the sky? I've seen the cinematics, Medic. That thing is huge.
Well, unfortunately for Unified, he was huge with a little bit of camouflage on top of him. The invisibility helping out there for RNG. And once again, a good catch from them, playing around the fact that Wei had the priority to move into that bot side jungle. Unified caught mid-wave and then was like, oh, I can pass through my own jungle. That's safe, right? It is never safe when you're playing up against RNG.
Yeah, and I think we're at a point now where with all summoners being blown in the bottom side, I think jungles are going to have to completely babysit both of their bottom lanes. Bin and Hanabi just going to be left on that island. Should be a little bit more favorable for PSG now that Hanabi has the cannon barrage, and Bay doesn't have his ultimate up right now, but the second that does, I feel like PSG's bottom side should have enough burst to take down one of the squishy members on the side of RNG.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can get down there. It's tough, right? You know, in these situations, there's always that kind of thought process of, okay, do we try to bail out our losing lane, or do we try to go elsewhere and make something happen, right? Because at this point, an even numbers fight, you have to feel like is probably still going to go RNG's way, right? So it is risky. If Wei is going to play around bot side and all Juhan does is match, you're just putting yourself in losing 3v3s over and over and over. So we'll see if that's going to be the call, or if they're going to try to play other side of the map, look towards Herald, look towards Hanabi. But RNG preempting that. They're the ones making the first move here towards Herald. Already got the early dragon. and this can really start to swing things on that top side.
Yeah, but I like that PSG are doing exactly what you just said, right? They're not looking to match the play of RNG. They're going the opposite way. They know that RNG is stronger. Bid now having the push in top side. I think Hanabi just had gotten the wave in earlier, so had the bounce back. And now just saying, hey, you know, we can play it out. We do have some decent late game scaling on our side. We don't need to push ourselves into that hole any further.
Yeah, RNG about 2,000 gold ahead right now, but AD Carry is only about 400 their way, is the only one with a real massive advantage over his lane opponent. So Unified, although he has been set behind, isn't actually as far behind as perhaps he could be at this portion of the game. Xiaohu now looking to put him further out of the action, but doesn't decide to look for this bot side play.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because Ming moved up towards Herald, and they stayed bot, and they gave solo gold on plates towards Unified. Unified got 2 plates there, so about a kill's worth of gold. And yes, things did go bad for them, but Gala didn't pick up any of the actual kills on that bottom side. So pulling things a little bit more even. Bin just going to pop the ulti to try to reset the wave, has no TP, knows that Juhan could be moving up here towards that top side, so just wants to get out of there.
Yeah, and I think for RNG, smart to not over-aggress for anything on the top half of the map. I think for you, it's a very simple game plan of just pathing that down towards your bottom side. You do have things like your red buff up, but should naturally lead you back down there. I feel like, as a response, PSG just kind of playing around these small windows. Things like Xiaohu hasn't his ultimate for quite a long time. It is about to come up, though, so I expect RNG to be expect to look to make one of these huge plays down towards that bottom lane.
And it's just so interesting to see where all the vision is kind of prioritized. You know, you look on the minimap, this whole area from RNG just littered with wards. A couple just expired, but they had about, 4 or 5 wards up in that topside river, trying to prep for Herald, but also trying to protect Bin on that push. Anytime you are playing melee into range, well, GP's melee, but he's the range Ras. Like, you basically, as the Gwen in this matchup, you have to be able to threaten aggressive trades, and you can only really do that with the information that others are not around. Predator usage forces the flash, nicely done.
Yeah, all Xiaohu did there was like pop the little pump up button on his Nikes. It's like, I'm coming, I'm gonna get you, And Bay's like, nope, I'm expecting that, I'll flash away. Xiaohu now still has the flash and can always go for another taunt like that.
I feel like it's more like, the rollerblades built into the shoes,
yeah,
wheelies.
The ones where
He's got the wheelies, he's just sliding on in, He's got the NOS attached on the back of the wheelies.
That's the threat of Galio, especially since Bay didn't have his passive build up, so couldn't use that fear to then disengage before the taunt came out.
It also just goes back to what we were hitting on earlier about how easy it is. Back in the day, feeling like the coolest kid. But RNG posturing for another dive. PSG with a nice response though.
Shadow Surge onto Ming, they're looking for the damage. Ming, Hero's entrance, hostile takeover comes out as well. Way shut down as the rest of his team was isolated. Taunt's going to come out here from Xiaohu. Brought back, Kaiwing will fall in the end. Gala low, does not have the Feather Storm anymore. 1-for-1 trade down towards that bottom side. Importantly, Wei died, so the Rift Herald died with him, and he will have to wait until he respawns to put that down.
And I think a play like that just shows kind of the complexities or the awkwardness of both comps running into the other one. Both comps have some sorts of disengage where it makes it very hard for you to just hard force into them. Kaiwing, of course, having things like the ultimate and Unified with the Moonlight Vigil as well. Did end up going 1-for-1, and RNG are still forcing plates. So overall, I do think it's a bit more beneficial for the side of RNG, but it was a rough one.
Yeah, I mean, RNG playing from ahead, so I think, PSG going to be happy to take what they can get. Bay, though, the initial engage there into Ming, but with the Galio ulti coming through, not able to get that takedown, but it does buy time for Unified and Juhan on that bottom side to 2v1 Wei. They get a shutdown there. That is important because Viego had been falling very far behind. A couple of kills had gone Wei's way, but also was up a lot of farm. That was unintentional. This name, every time I'm just like, damn it,
as well.
He got me again. I've been boomed.
I'm so glad you guys get to experience it because in the LPL we have Wei, and then we also have another jungler, Wei, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it can get
just
quite
rough.
No
way as well.
Yeah, but RNG kind of just be able to take this dragon for free. And I feel like this is the part of the game, right, where we've seen RNG unlock the most. Once you get first turret open and then you have a bunch of different lane assignments and can really just start pulling the enemy team around the map and showing that superior macro game.
Absolutely. And I mean, you just look at the item completions for RNG, mid, jungle, AD, all have mythics completed, none on the other side. GP does have his. He prints some free money, and Gwen went for tier 2 boots rush as his standard in this matchup. But it does become very difficult to try to look to contest. So, at this point, I think you're willing to give up something. You're hoping that you're going to be at a better kind of item breakpoint for that third dragon where you can potentially make something happen there.
I will say a little bit of a disappointing Rift Herald there from RNG. Wei put it down, then they went across towards the dragon. Rift Herald was killed before it charged in, and they did still have a little bit of time before the plates fall off, so perhaps could have used that slightly better. Did bring all of PSG into the mid lane, so they had to spend a bit of their time on the map focusing that down.
I'm a little bit curious to see RNG's lane setup coming into this mid game. You know, I would expect to see maybe put your bot lane up towards the top side, move Gwen down, and you can keep Xiaohu in mid and still have that pressure on both sides. Doesn't have his ult right now, so I can kind of empathize with it, but I expect RNG to be looking for plays of that sort.
Yeah, I mean, when Xiaohu plays through mid, obviously he can play to both sides of the map, but I do think in this case, I also like having their duo mid because their duo is so far ahead, right?
Yeah,
their duo is kind of dominating. Bot lane tier 1 is already down. Pushing tier 2 would be a bit of hubris, I think. So move them mid, try to farm more plates because those haven't even crashed. Just get Gala even more fed. Because we're seeing every time Kaiwing and Unified are getting pushed in, and then when you're under your tower with no minions in between you and the Karma and the Xayah, it's so hard to farm without getting punished there for Unified. So like what RNG is doing, and the wraparound threatened here from Xiaohu means they get another tower.
I was going to say, I guess the lane assignment doesn't even matter in the end, is RNG already able to force this turret down. You expect him to start looking to play through top side now, maybe get some vision in the enemy jungle after resets come out, because Rift Herald's going to come up soon once again. And I mean, now for PSG, right, it feels like the only member left untouched, the only real hope you have is Hanabi on this GP. He's gotten to farm up pretty decently, already having his Mythic, but I feel like the rest of your map's just falling so far behind. 5v5's gonna be so hard.
Did just pass Ming as far as the gold goes.
Oh.
So things are looking up. If you can get that sort of a 1v1 setup.
I mean, it's the ideal Viego setup, isn't it? Everyone else is on the enemy team is fed.
Ah, exactly.
So all you have to do is get one kill. And you just reset. You get all the gold back.
I want your champion.
PSG, though, trying to set up around the second Rift Herald of the game. RNG TPing in. Bin just catching a wave in the top lane, can come down that pretty quickly. Of course, the Cannon Barrage can be very powerful in these sorts of situations. Yuhan continues to posture, continues to poke and prod. RNG will just reset the patience of the Herald. She's having none of this. Come back when you're willing to actually finish off the fight.
And it does get tough now because they've lost mid lane prio, right? Xiaohu's just going to play in between them, make them walk the long way around. This means you're far from Shelly, so Wei can just go right back to it. While some of these minions do get denied, they have that full pressure in mid. Lee Sin will solo up the Herald. This is just really smart stuff here.
Ooh. Expected interaction there. You can see Xihan coming out of the invisibility with the Spectral Maw. Gala quick enough to pop the Featherstorm to dodge, and that's one of the powers of Xayah, the ability to get out of those sorts of fights. Hanabi's looking for something here, though. Xiaohu with the Everfrost. Orange has come out, but the Taunt follows up. Kick back. Hanabi, you were the last hope, perhaps, for PSG, and that last hope is dwindling fast.
Great by RNG to find the pick. It felt like PSG. Bunch of ultis.
Gwen is so immune to everything. She's had 16 boosters, Medana, Pfizer, everything just pumping into her. It's disgusting.
It does feel like that was maybe a little bit overboard for PSG in my mind, in terms of like, we just lost one member. Okay, they don't have ultis. Let's just throw everything and try our best, but not able to get anything in the end. And I mean, RNG just walking with a further lead.
I mean, that's one of those ones where you can start to smell the desperation a little bit. You know, you feel the game slipping away from you. You're already very far down. You already lost the first Herald. You're down 2 dragons. You know if they get the second Herald, another tower is pretty much slated to fall. So it does get rough. But that is really, really brutal for PSG. RNG fully in control. You know, more than 4,000 gold ahead already. And honestly, you know, for this next dragon fight, the itemization is not going to be, you know, doing them very many favors. Xiaohu even picking up the early stopwatch, I think, is really smart because very realistically, I think we're going to see PSG try to just show up this next dragon, fight it.
Even the fact that, right, he's playing the primary engage role now, so having that extra bit of survivability to buy time for the rest of your team, like way to get in there, maybe find another great kick like he did in the last fight, will do wonders. And for PSG, I mean, we're finally at a point where every member on your side has a Mythic, but I feel like someone on RNG's side needs to be isolated if you want to have any chance of being able to find a way into a fight. Bay does have TP if anything does go on.
Who's even the one you go for, right? Like, that's the problem with this comp, is that it's Gala is going to have his ult very soon. Like, who's the person you focus?
Standing right next to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can go for Karma, but if you spend all your spells to actually kill Karma, you're never going to win the fight down 4K. So it becomes very difficult. You know, Bin, as we've seen, some really positive interactions with the Shroud and pretty much everything that PSG wants to do. So it feels like if you can't play through sides, you know, just kind of brute forcing is very difficult.
And I think this was one of the matchups I was most afraid for. RNG go for the engage.
The follow-up here, Bin still chasing Hanabi down. He's rooted in spot. The Oranges will not bring it back. Perhaps he can find something after his death, but in the end, he will just fall. Great Shadow Surge with the hostile takeover coming in as well. RNG can still just turn it around. great situation actually with another Shadow Surge following further forward. Juhan looking for the resets. Heartbreaker forward gets one, dodges away from the Justice Punch. Juhan cannot stay alive, way there in time. Xiaohu and Gala able to disengage and wait. Will not. Well, he will. Follow the call of the Q. Movement speed, attack speed buff there on Unified. Wei continues to harass and harangue in, but RNG will just disengage in the end.
I think really rough coming out from for Juhan especially, right? Goes in, gets all the resets. Xiaohu baiting him with the stopwatch that we talked about. So not able to keep making that hero play even bigger. And RNG, it was scrappy, it was messy, but still coming out ahead. I mean, they're on Soul Point now. Yep. And for PSG, it's just going to have to continue to be these desperate plays. I think luckily for them in that one, they at least did find some kills when you're the team that's this far behind. Any sorts of trade are at least the silver lining. But that was all it was. Yeah,
I mean, RNG just getting really aggressive here. Xiaohu, you know, acting as a bit of that primary initiator. Bin getting really aggressive. They got that first kill on Hanabi, but, you know, with the W there, you know, buying a bit of time, and then Bei connecting into that back line, you know, getting a lot of damage out, helping to get that initial kill. And then as Juhan gets the resets, you sort of think, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here. But the problem is, when you take over Ming's body, you are incredibly squishy until you can reset that ult and get out once more. So they just straight up burst him down. The feathers were already there for Gala. Feather Collar comes through, and he just gets roasted. And
a lot of the power of Karma is in her mantra abilities, not in her base abilities. You can't get that R when you are Viego. You don't steal away the ultimate. So Juhan really struggling there to do too much more. RNG now 5,000 gold ahead. Baron up in 20 seconds for them. They're looking to go 8-1. Of course, for PSG, it is do or dies. Lose and you are out. And it's kind of just a series of unfortunate events for them. You know, beating G2 twice was great. Then they managed to get a win off Saigon Buffalo, but that singular loss to Saigon Buffalo could be the difference between them and getting into the knockout stages.
Yeah, and I think it's really sad to see. This has been hit on so many times about PCS, right? All their top talent leaving, going to other regions. The fact that they are still able to field, you know, competitive teams, I think is quite impressive from a region that really just feels like it's on its last legs. And yeah, PCS just going to do their best here to have another competitive showing.
And I will say, you know, even individually, I think some of the players that were getting a lot more criticism had some big pop-off moments, had some big step up. You know, Bei and Juhan, I think, were people were looking at as kind of the weak links potentially on PSG. But we did see some really good games over the last couple of days from them. I think Kaiwing and Unified are showing that they are world-class, have had some really good performances here. And Hanabi has just been so steady for this team and for the region for so many years.
I mean, even the fact, right, he's sitting at about a 30% damage percentage for the teams. Xiaohu finds a bit of a taunt.
Gala with the Gale Force. Oh, the hostile takeover comes out just a little too late. It was Xiaohu and Gala versus the world, and they come out trumps once again. Bin now looking for a flank position, and RNG unwilling to give PSG a chance to get back into the game. Here's the hero's entrance onto the backline. Unified is going to walk straight into it, flashes into it as well. But they don't care about Unified. They rip through the rest of PSG. In the end, Unified will fall as well. Ming takes the kill. RNG take 4, and it's a death march towards the base.
RNG leaving no doubt in this one. They want first place. They have been so good throughout the Rumble stage. One slip against G2, but besides that, they really have rarely been challenged throughout this stage. They have been so incredibly strong.
Yeah, if RNG can get through their early game, I think unscathed, RNG definitely the best mid-game and late-game team in this tournament. Their macro, their player on size and objectives has been immaculate. But another team cheering in the background is G2.
They don't have Smite.
At the thought of PSG.
Okay, they waited out just enough. I was like, why isn't he just smiting it? It's like, that. Good job, RNG. But yes, another team cheering in the background, definitely G2. We'll have another look at this fight.
Yeah, and we see really nice setup. They catch out Hanabi just barely, and Gala knowing he has enough damage to go through. And then the rest of the fight is what I really like, because we see Xiaohu back off, wait in the wings. They get Bin on the flank. We're like, hey, how's this Galio going to get in here? Very easy when you do have the lead and are able to find the setup like this.
Yep, Bin just goes for the easy wraparound. In comes the Galio. The Everfrost taunt landing there over on Bei. Gonna be able to get that kill as well. And you start to look at the itemization, and it starts to feel really hopeless as the IE is now complete for Gala. Soul here potentially going to be taken at about 23 minutes. You absolutely have to flip it as PSG. Just show up, hope that you can get some sort of a steal, hope that you can get some sort of a miracle. But it is hard to really think about, you know, how they could even possibly win this fight.
Especially when you're walking into so much darkness. You can see PSG just trying to get control of their own jungle.
I think it's going to die before they even get there.
The Dragon, as you say, likely dead. PSG disengage from it. They'll try and get mid-prio, but that's not going to last for long either. Xiaohu going forward. Once again, Everfrost just shot. PSG able to dodge, but Kaiwin just locked down once again. Moonlight Vigil. Well, a Vigil is usually held for someone that's died, and I believe perhaps PSG have had an apt ability there. TP coming in as well. Wei looking for Unified. Just walk straight at him. No escape for the PSG AD carry. Zhuhan trying to get away as well, but Bin will not let him today. RNG routing a PSG once again. They get the Mountain Soul. They have the Baron. They have a mid-wave coming in with Xiaohu.
Yeah, and we see right now them going towards that mid lane, going towards spot, going to push these waves in. I don't think they should be able to end quite yet, but it feels like a matter of time, especially if Faye goes down.
Gala just flashing over the wall. Kaiwin's going to try and do what he can. The cannon barrage coming in as well, but look at the shields from Ming across the wall. Gala, hostile takeover means he will attack his support partner, but not for too much damage. Hanabi under the tower, trying to get away. He can't escape today. RNG don't even need the minion waves to get into the base of PSG. And they're looking.
Heard you talking shit, Lyric. Who says we can?
The LPL caster faith in the LPL is just clearly very low. But RNG having an immaculate performance here against PSG today. I mean, it was just textbook. They forced the lead forward. Actually, they aren't going to end as Zale. Okay, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself as well. But RNG, again, just overall, exceptional win. It's what you'd expect of the Tiger King of Spring, Xiaohu, making it back to an international once again. Already lifted this trophy twice in 2 different roles, looking to do it for a 3rd time.
And RNG, 11,000 gold up, it's all done, but the Nexus falling you have to feel. For PSG, again, commiserations to them, of course. It's not the way that you want to fall out of a tournament, less with a bang and more with a whimper here.
No, but I do think that they can be proud of some of their strong performances that they have put up. You know, 2-0 against G2, I think, was very unexpected, especially, you know, given the start that G2 had. 24-game win streak. You know, we're looking really, really strong. PCS able to 2-0 them. That's not something that you often see, right? You don't often see some of these smaller regions coming in and taking out one of the big dogs even once, let alone in back-to-back games.
Yeah, for PSG. Again, I think they outdid my expectations coming out from groups where, honestly, even Saigon Buffalo looked like a stronger team than PSG. PSG definitely one of those teams that I feel like ramped up into the tournament. It's just kind of sad that that's still slightly below the bar.
Looking for Wei here, but Wei has a Death Dance and a Warden's Mail, and so he doesn't really care about any damage you can put down. He will push in the mid-wave super minions down towards the bottom inhibitor already. A second one will join that one shortly. RNG just looking to do this one by the numbers. Do it by the book as they go for the 3rd inhibitor tower, or maybe even a fun from Xiaohu. The pincer movement from RNG is sublime to see. 4 dead already, Bin chasing off the 5th. And I think RNG won't be able to get him before the Nexus does go down. 8-1. RNG far and away the best team in the Rumble stage. Let's see what they can do as they claim first spot. They're waiting to kill Zhuhan. One more to the books, pad that KDA. RNG claim first spot in Rumble.
Yep, RNG claiming first. Still looking to their rematch at the end of the day against T1. Just long-standing rivalry, but still gonna feel great going into the semifinals and being able to pick their opponent.
Yep, that is a massive advantage here. You know, we're assuming they're going to be wanting to dodge T1. I think those are the 2 teams that now do start to feel like the big favorites. Of course, a lot can change between the Rumble stage and the knockout stage. Teams having a little bit of time to kind of revamp. But RNG looking far and away the favorites for this tournament, and with what will be their pick for the first round, it almost feels like they're going to be a shoo-in for the finals.
And their pick currently sitting between EG and G2. That can change, though. EG can still get second.